Good morning, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. Today is Monday, August the 24th. Hopefully, my stream's up and running, working well. Everything should be good. If you guys can hear me and if you guys can see my screen, type yes in the chat. I'm currently on my travel setup for the next couple of weeks, so just making sure everything's good here. But yeah, hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys had a great weekend. What's up, everyone? Good morning. Yes. Perfect. Awesome. What's up, Alejandro? Sakis, good morning. What's up, Knight? Eliza, what's up, Cinna, Lamed, Jaytan, Deuce, Big Up, Gustav. What's up, Bobby? Great video on Sunday. Glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, I posted a video yesterday on my main channel, which was a price action video. Make sure to check that out if you guys haven't. That was a pretty good one. Good morning, Robert. What's up? Melka. What's up? Andrea, Juan, Andreas, Andy, Carlos. How's Dubai? Dubai's pretty hot. So I guess technically it's not the morning time for me, but morning time for most of you guys. Yes. Awesome. All right, with that being said, let's pull up the economic calendar, which we have right here. There is quite a bit of things to talk about coming into this week. We do have Nvda earnings. That's one of the main ones. That's going to be on Wednesday. And then, of course, as you can see, we have a bunch of red folder news. We have the Jackson Hole Symposium as well. That's going to be starting up on Thursday all the way into Sunday. But yeah, with that being said, let's hop straight into the economic calendar. As I mentioned, we do have a couple of things this week. Some orange folder news. That's going to be at, let me see if I can change the time for you guys here. Let me go in the filters. Just to make it nice and easy for you guys. So the time zone for you guys, some orange folder news that's going to be at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Tuesday, we have some more orange folder news that's going to be at 10 a.m., which is consumer confidence. 8:30 a.m. on Wednesday, we have core PC price index along with the prelim GDP. And then on Thursday, we have the unemployment claims plus the Jackson Hole Symposium. That's going to be all day on Thursday. And then Friday, we have Fed War speaking. That's going to be at 10 a.m. And then we have some more red folder news. We have the revised consumer sentiment and then the Jackson Hole Symposium. That's going to be all day. And then plus that's going to run all the way into Saturday as well. So the couple main things, consumer confidence tomorrow, we have some more at 8:30. And then we have Fed chair that's going to be speaking on Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As I mentioned, the main thing coming into this week, of course, is going to be Nvda earnings. This is really the only thing that matters. All the other ones are a lot smaller in comparison to what's going to be happening on Wednesday after close. But there's a couple things to keep an eye out for. We have a couple Canadian banks reporting. That's going to be on Tuesday before market opens. Zoom, that's something on Tuesday after close. But as you can see, as I mentioned, the main thing is going to be Nvda. That's going to be on Wednesday. CRM, something to keep an eye out for. CrowdStrike potentially. OKTA. Those are a couple smaller ones to keep an eye out for. And then on Thursday, Best Buy, some more Canadian banks reporting. And then we do have Marvel. That's something to keep an eye out for. On Thursday after close, we have Iron and AFRM. But the main thing, as I mentioned, is going to be Nvda. That is going to be Wednesday after close. So these are some of the earnings that we have coming into this week. With that being said, let's pull up the charts, starting off here with the major indices. I'm just going to grab some water really quickly. Let me see the chat. Everything's good? Awesome. Yeah, I'm just going to grab some water and we'll get started. Okay, so let's start off here on the SPY on the weekly time frame. Last week, we did get a little bit of a pullback off our all-time highs. So you can see last week we did actually end up closing bearish. We closed underneath its previous week's lows. We are coming back to kind of this previous all-time highs area. So this is the area that we broke out from. As you can see, 760 is going to be our higher time frame key level. Now moving forward, we just like to see the overall markets maintain above this 760, build a higher low here on the higher time frames, build up a higher low on the weekly for that continued pushback towards the upside. So for the SPY, the main level moving forward here, I'm going to mark out that 2 weeks ago's low, and then we're also going to mark out that previous all-time highs here as well. If you go into the daily time frame, what are some of the main levels that we have moving forward? As I mentioned, that 760, that previous all-time highs, plus we have a very small gap here, and then we're going to mark out that 768. So there's two scenarios that we're going to be looking for, either the reclaim back above, that 768 flip back towards the upside, or we're now going to see a potential retracement back down into that 760, and we're going to be looking for buyers to step in here off that previous all-time highs area, which would be that 760 for a pushback towards the upside. So the exact levels I have on the ES, if I turn the levels on here, at least coming into today, we're going to keep it out on that previous day highs, and then we're going to also keep it out on our last week's lows. So for the SPY, we're going to have marked out that 768 touch here, another touch on Friday. If we do want to see some upside, we like to really see it above our previous day highs. If you can get above our previous day highs, we can see continuation towards the upside. We are a little bit further away from that previous day highs area. So now another possible scenario comes back down into that last week's lows. Buyers, I'd like to see step in off this area, or the reaction here now offer previous day lows for a reclaim trade. So as I mentioned, if we zoom out on the hourly time frame, that reclaim back above that 768 here is going to be key. If we can get back above this level, we can see a flip in the markets. If we maintain weakness, which now will be underneath that 768, we can see now a push down in towards that previous day lows. If you go into the lower time frames, for some downside, we're going to mark out that previous day lows, which is that 764.50. If we reject off this area, we can see that push down into that last week's lows, which will be our 762. Underneath our 762 hold, then we can see a bigger push towards the downside here as well. So we'll keep an eye out on that previous day lows. We can have this level marked out here as well on the SPY, and then we'll keep an eye out on that previous day highs along with our previous day lows. If you go on to the ES chart, the key technical levels that we have marked out is that 77.20. This is our higher time frame key level that we have marked out. Last week, broke underneath, maintained above this level. Once we broke back below, you can see now we're holding underneath that 77.20. This is a key level here on the higher time frames. If we do want to see any sort of long positions, back above this level for a flip towards the upside. Right now on the ES, we are retesting our previous all-time highs general area. If we turn on the really contracts adjusted, you can see the key level is just going to be kind of this previous all-time highs retest level, kind of similar to the ES. So that's the key level here, 76.40 on the higher time frames. Other levels that we can have marked out here now as well is just going to be that previous day lows, 76.80 coming into market open. So we'll keep an eye out on this level here coming into today. Above our previous day lows, we can see a flip. Hold underneath our previous day lows, we can see a push all the way back down towards the lows here on the ES. All right, let's take a look at the QQQ on the weekly time frame here. So as you can see, the weekly time frame, we did end up closing last week bearish. So we had a nice bounce off the lows. Last week, we did close underneath that previous week's lows. Now we're kind of back into that range low. So on the daily time frame, what we like to see is the hold of our daily gap. So right here, you can see we have this daily gap created, which is that 709. Now what we like to see is if we could hold this level. So the key levels that we have is going to be that 709. If we can maintain this level, potentially build up a higher low for a push back up in towards this gap fill. If we do break underneath, we're most likely going to return back into this higher time frame gap, which will be that 700 here on the daily chart. So if we go on to the hourly time frame, the key technical levels that we have marked out is just going to be that 710. You can see touch here, another touch last week, actually multiple touches last week, and now we're gapping down into that 710 here on the higher time frames. What I would like to see, reaction off our previous day lows. If we maintain underneath our previous day lows, then we can see some more continuation towards the downside. If we can reclaim back above our previous day lows and hold back above that 710, then we can see a potential move back up into this previous day close, which will be that 713. So keep an eye out on that 710 coming into market open here for the QQQ. If you take a look at the NQ, very similar thesis. We're at a very much a key level support here. So another touch, a couple touches last week. Right now, if we maintain underneath that 29,300, we can definitely see a bigger push towards the downside on the NQ. But if we can reclaim, we can see this reversal back towards the upside. So the key technical levels, keep an eye out on that previous day lows, which will be that 10 or 29,250 here on the NQ. Let's take a look at the SMH here. The semis have been a little bit weaker, definitely pulled back last week as well. So you can look at this daily time frame, or sorry, this weekly time frame, and we did end up closing last week bearish underneath our previous week's low. Now for the daily time frame, we are kind of right into the area where we broke out from. You can see this is our higher time frame level of support. Once we're able to reclaim back above this 560, nice push towards the upside. But now we're coming back down into that higher time frame 560. What I personally would like to see is this right shoulder be developed here on the daily time frame for a potential move back towards the upside. So I would like to see this hold, which is that daily gap plus this kind of 550 general area for a potential move back towards the upside. Right now with the overall markets, if it does show a little bit more weakness, maintains underneath this 560, then we can definitely see a potential flip here if we do hold underneath that 560. So that's going to be the key area moving forward for the SMH. Some of the levels that I have marked out here is going to be that 560. As you can see, we do have multiple touches. Right now, we're bouncing off this level of support. Today, we are gapping underneath that 560. So keep an eye out for this potential 560 rejection coming into market open. If we do reclaim back above that 560, we can see buyers step in for a potential pushback towards the upside. So that's what I have for the SMH coming into market open. Let's just keep an eye out on that previous day lows. As you can see, we have multiple touches here coming into market open. So we'll keep an eye out on the reaction here off that 556. As for some other tickers that we have marked out, IWM, this one I would like to see now maintain above this previous level of resistance, original area where we broke out from. So let's see if we can use this level as a potential double bottom for a flip back towards the upside. On the hourly time frame, buyers are currently trying to step in here off that 298. Above our previous day highs, potential flip back towards the upside. If we do reject now off that previous day highs area, we can see a push right back down in towards that 299 and below. So keep an eye out on that previous day highs coming into market open. All right, with that being said, let's take a look at some of the tech names that we have coming into market open here now. If you guys do have any charts or any tickers you'd like me to go over, you guys can now drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, appreciate if you guys drop a like and sub. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below here as well. What's up, everyone? Good morning. Jack, I have a question in terms of profit taking. Do you aim for a perfect 1 to 2? Or do you close your trades at partials as the market goes on? So I'll take partials along the ways. 1 to 2 risk reward we'll use as an example just to make it nice and easy when we're talking about in terms of fixed, but I always do it based off key targets. So let's say, for example, a trade that we ended up taking here on Friday was Tesla. This is one of the better trades that we end up taking. Right, if I just strictly had a 1 to 2 risk reward ratio, then I would have ended up missing out on this huge move. Let's say we got in closer to that previous day highs, stop a break underneath, and I just had a fixed 1 to 2 risk reward ratio, right? As soon as a broke high day hit 1 to 2, right, if you sell your full position, right, you got a nice move, but right, Tesla has a lot of room back towards the upside, right? It has this full daily gap. So as for targets, right, we're just going to take partial targets, and one of our main targets is of course going to be that daily gap fill. So we can take partials along the way, but really that main target is going to be all the way back up in towards that daily gap. So if we're talking in terms of partials, right, maybe you have other key targets, maybe you have like high of day, you have key psych levels along the way, but the main targets here, and if you want to go on to the lower time frames, other targets that you can have marked out is just going to be, right, these old lows that we have. Since there's a gap here, there's not really any other levels to base it off of, since we just have kind of like a big gap down. Other levels that we can use once we break above here, we can just mark out these old lows, or sorry, these old highs, and use these as partial targets. So in this case, we have a target here, we have a target here, and then we have a full target back at that full daily gap. So as price is pushing up, right, you can take partials along the ways and then scale as price pushes in your favor. And that's how you're gonna kind of maximize your risk reward, especially on a trade like this where there's a strong breakout, plus you had a higher time frame thesis, you can expect this one to continue higher. All right, so for Tesla, key levels coming into today is going to be that full daily gap. So we talked about last week, if we can get above that daily gap, we can see a push back up into that full daily gap, which is at 370. As for Tesla coming into market open here today, we're still going to keep an eye out on this one. Really solid breakout on Friday. Some of the levels that we have coming into today is going to be that previous day highs. If you do want to see some upside, above our previous day highs, continuation towards the upside. Other levels that we can have marked out, pre-market lows, potential pre-market low bounce for push up in towards our previous day highs here as well. So we'll keep an eye out on Tesla coming into market open here today for a push towards the upside. We're just going to be looking for continuation on that one. As for AMD, this one more so kind of consolidating here now after we had earnings a couple weeks ago. You can see a lot more consolidation kind of just in between this higher time frame range on AMD. If you go on to the lower time frames, ever since we had earnings, which was a couple weeks ago, you can see we've just been consolidating in between this earnings high and this earnings low. Right now, we're right back down into this earnings low, which is that 760. You can see how many touches we've had off this general area. If we do want to see some downside underneath that earnings low hold, we can see a flip back towards the downside. We could see another potential bounce once again here off that AMD earnings low 460, but now I'd like to see the flip back above that 480 for any sort of continuation back towards the upside. So key levels here on AMD that we can have marked out is just going to be that previous day lows. We can mark out this general area, which is that 462. So today, key levels for AMD, keep an eye out on that previous day lows, along with our previous day highs, 478. If we go on to Nvda, the key technical levels that we have coming into today is going to be that 212, and moving forward, this was that previous all-time highs. You can see multiple touches. Now we like to see this level turn into support for a continued push back towards the upside. If you go on to the lower time frames, right now you can see we're right into that level here in the pre-market. Friday, we had a little bit of a touch in the pre-market. Buyers stepped in once again off this 214, and now coming into today, another bounce here off that 214. So the key levels that we have marked out, 214 bounce for continuation back towards the upside, above our 216 potential flip back up in towards our 219 here on Nvda is in play. Let's take a look at Apple. Apple here, our key levels that we have marked out is simply just going to be this kind of daily gap. 220, you can see how many touches we have off this, 320 off this higher time frame key level. Above our 320, you can see that push back up in towards that daily gap. You can see we had a pretty big rejection here off that 320, and now we're right back down into the kind of this earnings range. So the key levels that we have marked out on Apple, if we turn back on the drawings, is going to be that 320. Other levels that we have marked out, 307. And then we also have our 311 here, which were just levels from its previous week. So keep an eye out on the reaction that we have off those levels. Does that mean Tesla previous day low is not key to be referred today? Most likely. Tesla is further away from our previous day lows. So Tesla is a key level at previous day lows, but look how far away it is. Most likely it won't touch previous day lows. If it did come down, then we keep an eye on this level. We still have it marked out, but very unlikely that Tesla will come all the way back down into that previous day lows here today. But that doesn't mean it's not a key level. It's just most likely not going to be used for today. Let's take a look at Google. Google is right into that daily gap fill. So that higher time frame gap that we created, you can see Google's kind of just right at this general area. We filled the gap last week here as well. So let's keep an eye out for a Google bounce back towards the upside. If we can get back above our previous day highs, what are the key technical levels that we have marked out? In this case, what we have marked out is going to be that previous day highs. If we want to see continuation towards the upside, above our previous day highs for continuation. If we, right now we are inside the range, so I'd be a little bit more cautious trading in between here. I would like to see the break above, outside of this range at a minimum for us to take any trades here on Google. Let's take a look at Microsoft here. This one pulling back as well. We're right at this daily gap. So let's keep an eye on Microsoft. If we turn on the EMAs here as well, we're kind of right below the 9, still above that 21. For Microsoft, I like to see the bounce off our 480 or now fill that full daily gap and push back towards the upside and use this level as that previous all-time highs retest. This is the more preferable scenario, is if it did come back down for that gap fill plus that previous all-time highs. But for Microsoft, let's keep an eye out on our 490. We have that 490 marked out. We also have our 480. We're just going to keep an eye out on the reaction that we have off these levels. Above our previous, above that 490, we can see continuation. If somehow we break underneath that 480, then we're going to retrace all the way back down into 470 here on the higher time frames. As for Meta on the higher time frames, we're coming back down into a key level of support once again. So you can see Meta's bounced off this level multiple times, which is that 520, kind of this general area, came down, bounced, came down, bounced. Earlier into the year, multiple touches once again. So Meta is at a very key spot. I would like to see Meta now just kind of bounce off this higher time frame level support and push back towards the upside. So key levels that we have here on Meta is just going to be that previous day highs. Mark this out, previous day highs. If you do want to see continuation back towards the upside, above our previous day highs, hold for a continuation up into this 560. So let's keep an eye out for that here on Meta. If we do ultimately reject off this 560, then we can see this be used as a reversal or a fake out back right back down into that 540 here on the higher time frames. As for Amazon, Amazon's in our key technical spot. Let's keep an eye out for the bounce here off that 256. You can see really strong push up, coming back down, filled a couple daily gaps. This is our previous level of resistance. Now we like to see turn into support. Let's keep an eye out on that 260 bounce here on Amazon for a pushback towards the upside. I would like to see the break back above that previous day highs. That's going to be key for me to look for a continuation back towards the upside. So let's keep an eye on this bounce. If you can get above our previous day highs, you can see a move back up and towards that 265. As for Netflix, Netflix is one of my favorite charts. As long as we can now maintain above that 75, we can look for continuation. In this case here now, we're coming back for that previous retest, kind of forming this higher time frame hourly flag pattern. Let's keep an eye on Netflix above our previous day highs for a push up in towards 81 and above. And then for SpaceX, this one is currently rejecting here off that 150. So this is one of our main levels here on the higher time frames. And then the other levels that we have marked out is that 130 earnings high. So right now, if we can maintain above that 130, I'd like to see a daily higher low be built for a push back up into this 150. If you go onto the hourly time frame, as I mentioned, this is our exact key level. 130 bounce here, another bounce last week, a couple touches, maintain above that 130. Continuation back towards the upside here is in play. And if we can get above this 140, we can see a flip back towards the upside here as well. So that's what we have for SpaceX coming into market open here. Now we'll head on to some tech names. some other tech names that we have coming into today. So if you guys do have any charts, I'll go over some for the next 5 to 10 minutes. If you guys are enjoying this so far, appreciate if you guys drop a like and sub. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below here as well. All right, as we go over some tickers, let me answer some questions. That's wait for Jack, but the best to scale out along the ways. It's the best practice. Yes, that's correct. Tesla was a good trade on Friday. Can you please explain why some boxes are green, some other boxes are yellow? That's just more so like support and resistance. The colors in itself don't matter as much. The levels matter a lot more. But just simply think of it in terms of green as in support or demand, and then red as in resistance / supply. I'll take a look at MRVL in a second. Let's see. Thanks for your video yesterday. It was really helpful. Hey, I want to ask how much if I was to trade 2 contracts on the mini NASDAQ, how much is that? Depends on your broker, Marco. Yeah, it depends on your broker because there's different margin requirements. But if we're talking in terms of risk, 1 point mini, you have minis, and then you also have micros. And then if you're trading ES, same thing, right? Minis and micros. 1 point is $2, $20 on the mini, and then the micro is $2. Okay, let's go over some tickers here. Let's take a look at Palantir first. So Palantir, we end up having that break on Friday. You can see Palantir was just kind of basing above this 9 EMA. And we just had that nice continuation up and towards our higher time frame key levels, which is that 180. So I kind of talked about Palantir a couple times. It was the break above this 176 mini level of resistance. Once we broke above, we had that nice push up in towards that higher time frame level of resistance, which is that 180. So it happened on Friday later into the day. Once we broke above, you can see that nice continuation towards the upside. Key levels that we have marked out 180 here. So for Palantir, right, higher time frame is bullish, right? Higher lows are being built on the hourly. Now we like to see it above this 180 hold for that continuation towards the upside. If we reject off this 180, we can see a push down into that 176. So we'll keep an eye out on that higher time frame key level. 180 is going to be a reclaim level here on Palantir. As for MU, this one is gapping down. So MU had a nice bounce off this 920 last week, previous level of resistance, turned into support, nice continuation. It is currently gapping down here. Some of the semis and memory names are a little bit weaker. If we take a look at DRAM, DRAM is right back down into that previous level of resistance, turned into support here as well, which is that 55. So you can see this one's pushing back down into that 55 here as well. Very similar to that MU chart. So what I would like to see is that key level here, 920. If we can maintain above that 920, we can see a push back up into that 960. If we get underneath that 920, then we can see a flip for a potential move back down into that 900 and below. SNDK, this one's gapping down. Looks solid here on that daily time frame for a potential mini flag, but with it gapping down here, a lot of the memory tickers are a little bit weaker today. The thesis is more so kind of invalidated for some upside. It's going to have to reclaim back above key levels now. So for SNDK, my main level is really this 1560. So breaking underneath this level of support from last week, now moving forward, if we maintain underneath that 1560, continuation towards the downside here is in play. I would only be interested in longs if you can get back above that previous day lows here at a minimum. INTC, this one's a lot weaker here as well. Pushing towards the downside. INTC seems like it can retrace all the way back down in towards that 80 key psych level here on the higher time frame. So INTC is a little bit weaker underneath our previous day lows here in the pre-market. Keep an eye on INTC for a push now down into that higher time frame level of support, which is a little bit further away. In this case, it is our 87 and our 85. So for INTC today, we can mark out that previous day lows. Other levels that we can have marked out pre-market lows along with our pre-market highs. Maintain really underneath that previous day lows. We're going to be looking for a continuation towards the downside. Based off this hourly chart, as you can see here, there's a good chance now INTC does push all the way back down into that 84, which is really the area that we broke out from here on INTC. WDC, all the memory names back into a key level of support here on the higher time frames. MRVL does have earnings on on Thursday. This one had a nice push towards the upside. You can see we are seeing a little bit of sellers right off that 250, but we had a nice bounce from 160 all the way to 250. Now we are seeing a little bit of sellers coming into earnings this week. Major key levels here on MRVL is going to be that 230. If we can reclaim back above that 230, continuation towards the upside. Underneath that 230, we can see a push all the way back down into this news candle low, which is the area that we broke out from. Let's take a look at a few other tickers here. Let's go over Coin. Coin and some other Bitcoin themed names have been pushing up nicely within the past week, of course, with BTC bouncing off our higher time frame level of support. You can see BTC kind of just bouncing right off that 200 EMA plus that higher time frame level of resistance, now turning into support here. So that's why we had a couple nice bounces on Coin along with a few other tickers. Right now you can see Coin's bounced off this 150 level multiple times. And this weekly time frame is fairly bullish. So you can see last week's candle closed very bullish. We broke really outside this consolidation that we've had within the past couple of months. So very bullish weekly candle close here on Coin. Now we'd like to see really the next major level I have is all the way up into that 220, right? If we can break above this 200, next level all the way up into this 220 here on the higher time frames. So for Coin, key levels that we have marked out coming into this week is going to be that 185. And then we also have our previous day highs here as well. So coming into today, maintain above our previous day highs, continuation, or now the bounce here off that 186 for a continuation towards the upside. Hood, another theme that was nice last week. This one also has some kind of like a Bitcoin theme as well. But for Hood, above that 92, nice push towards the upside. Key technical levels that we have on Hood now is going to be that 110, which is the area that we broke down from originally. And then we have 115 and above. For Hood, what we like to see now is the previous day high. If we can break above, hold above that previous day highs, then we can see continuation towards the upside. So that's going to be the key level here on Hood coming into market open. Let's take a look at a few other tickers. Let's take a look at MSTR, another Bitcoin theme name, which is bouncing off our key lows. If we can get back above the key level in this case, which is that 120, that's going to be key. You can see a lot of consolidation on MSTR. Now we like to see the break back above this 120. If we can do that, we can see a potential flip back towards the upside. If we reject off this 120, we're going to see a push right back down into the lows. Okay, with that being said, let's take a look at CRWV. This one had earnings last week or a few weeks ago. This one kind of right back down into that earnings low. So we had a nice reaction with earnings, push towards the upside. Now we're all the way back down into that earnings low. This is a key level here on CRWV. So for today, let's go on to the higher time frames once again, starting off here with the Q. So the key level today is just going to be that previous day lows. Let's keep an eye on that 710 here on the QQQ coming into market open. That's going to be the reaction off that. And then for the SPY, we'll keep an eye out for the reaction here off our previous day lows, 764. With the market showing a little bit more weakness, Tesla's going to be my main watch for continuation towards the upside. Daily chart on this one is fairly bullish within the past 20 to 40 sessions ever since we did gap down here from earnings, right? We're able to flip back above. So now I'm leaning bullish here on Tesla. Let's see if we can get that push up in towards our 370 and above. That's really my main watch for some upside. Other names I do like is SpaceX, if we can get above our previous day highs, which is a little bit further away. But for the rest of the tickers here, they're a little bit closer to the bottom of the range. So I'm going to be a little bit more cautious on names like these. But Tesla's going to be my main watch for continuation. We had that nice breakout on Friday. Another name that I like here is Palantir. If you can get above that 180, we can see continuation towards the upside. The rejection, I'm going to be a little bit more cautious. And then a lot of the memory names are kind of gapping down here as well. So not too many names that I do like for some upside here, just because the SPY and Qs is pulling back. So I'm going to be a lot more patient coming into market open. If I do want to see continuation, it is going to be Tesla towards the upside, and then the rest of the tickers will be a little bit more patient and wait for any sort of relative strength. We are further away from our previous day highs, of course, on a lot of these tickers. So I'd like to see, right, if a name I'm looking for like an AMD or an Nvda, I want to see the reaction off our previous day highs, which is a little bit further away. So if we do want to look for upside, it's going to have to be the previous day low reclaim setup for a reversal back towards the upside. So that's what we have. Tesla higher time frame breakout. So Tesla was very strong on Friday. So we're just going to be looking for a continuation just based off the daily chart for a push up into that previous day highs and potentially that 370. Yes, we also do have some Bitcoin tickers as well. So yeah, Coinbase, previous day highs for continuation above our previous day highs. MSTR, another one above our previous day highs. Circle is another Bitcoin theme kind of ticker. Keep an eye out on our previous day highs for this one here as well. And then you can also mark out that previous day lows. But yeah. And then Netflix, yeah, Netflix also looks good. So we have Netflix, Tesla's the main one, but Netflix, we have this hourly flag pattern. So let's keep an eye out on Netflix as well, above our previous day highs and a potential break of this downtrend here on the hourly time frame for a push back up in towards 81 and above. But yeah, that's going to be it for me today. I'm going to get ready for market open here now. If you guys did enjoy that, appreciate it if you guys drop a like and sub. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watches, that of course is in the description below. With that being said, I'm going to get ready for market open here, and I will see you guys all tomorrow. All right, take care, everyone. Have a great rest of the day. Peace.